is new in Korea? News about in Korea. What is new in Korea? Wink, wink.
Last weekend, after the general strike demanding the resignation of President Yoon Suk-yeol took place in Sejongdaro, the center of Seoul, the movement to oust the Yoon Suk-yeol administration is expected to spread to all regions of the country. Currently, President Yoon Suk-yeol's approval rating remains at around 20%, and the prevailing opinion is that he is an incompetent president who can't do anything. Although President Yoon Suk-yeol announced that he resumed playing golf to become acquainted with U.S. President-elect Trump, doubts about President Yoon's diplomatic capabilities are also growing. President Yoon's imprudent words and actions revealed at the press conference and his anxiety about the current diplomatic and security camp are raising concerns about whether he can properly deal with the Trump administration. There are also criticisms that President Yoon is simply following the wrong practices of former Japanese Prime Minister Abe, who was close to Trump. Although it was overshadowed by domestic issues, experts' criticism of President Yoon's attitude toward responding to diplomatic issues at the press conference on the 7th is harsh. The claim is that President Yoon's disclosure of the details of the conversation while revealing the fact of the phone call with Trump that morning is against diplomatic protocol. The presidential office previously mentioned all the details of the phone call, including North Korea's dispatch of troops to Ukraine, South Korea-U.S. cooperation plans, inter-Korean relations, and Trump's interest in the Korean shipbuilding industry. The phone call between President Yoon and Trump lasted 12 minutes, but it is questionable how in-depth the conversation was if the interpretation time is excluded. It is known that President Yoon talked most of the phone call and Trump mostly listened. There is a possibility that President Yoon exaggerated the phone call with Trump to show off his diplomatic achievements. It gives the impression that he focused on showing off impromptu rather than a detailed strategy during the phone call the day after Trump's election. President Yoon's bigger diplomatic gaffe came during the process of answering questions from foreign reporters. The question at the time was, what is the Korean government's strategy following Trump's inauguration? And President Yoon made an absurd remark, saying, there are many leaders in Europe and Asia who are worried and concerned. He said that the heads of state he met during his overseas trip expressed concern about Trump's election, and that Europe in particular is worried, and many leaders in Asia are worried. When I think about how the heads of state of each country will react to such remarks through foreign media, and what Trump will think, I can't help but sigh. There is also much gossip about President Yoon's resumption of golf after 8 years. The presidential office explained that it was in preparation for golf diplomacy with Trump, who is known as a golf fanatic. Experts point out that this is a misunderstanding, referring to the case of former Prime Minister Abe, who quickly became acquainted with Trump through golf during his first term in office. It is true that he became acquainted with Trump by providing him with expensive golf clubs, but it is said that Abe's large investment package was more effective for Trump. At the time, Abe gave Trump $7 billion in investment funds that he had raised by harassing large corporations and faced criticism in Japan for tribute diplomacy. Abe's all-in strategy, which was ridiculed as Trump's poodle, did not always help Japan's national interests. In 2018, the second year of Trump's presidency, Japan was greatly shocked when Korea and the EU were exempted from the U.S. steel tariffs, but Japan was excluded. It was also during Abe's presidency that the U.S. failed to provide Japan with relevant information during the North Korea-U.S. summit, sparking a heated debate over passing Japan. Experts emphasize that President Yoon's priority now is not to pick up the golf club again, but to reorganize the diplomatic and security lineup. At a time when our government's sophisticated diplomatic capabilities are needed more than ever in the U.S. presidential election, President Yoon suddenly deployed military personnel to key diplomatic and security positions. He replaced Director of the National Security Office Jang Ho-jin, a diplomat who was an American expert, after only 7 months, and replaced him with Minister of National Defense Shin Won-sik, a hardliner on North Korea. In a reality where security and economic situations are more critical than ever, what President Yoon needs is not show, but deep strategy and consideration for the national interest.